Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And thank each and every one of you for coming in and tuning in to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I truly appreciate it, and I hope you find the show to be educational and it actually helps you increase your credit scores. You know that the whole point and purpose of this show is to help you increase your credit scores, which is going to lower the interest rates that you have to pay, and that's going to save you money, put money in your pocket. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about several things today. I'm going to give you a very short update on what's going on with Equifax. Yes, they have been, if you will, compromised yet again. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about how your credit score impacts other areas of your life. We're going to also talk about the fact that some things do not impact your credit score. So I'm going to let you know what those factors are as well. And then I'm also going to give you some of my favorites that I like to do when I help people restore their credit. It may fit within your realm, something that you can do yourself as well. So I'm going to mention those things today. And we have a very, very good question of the day as well. So I'm going to get that. And you know that is brought to you by none other than Cute as a Cupcake right out of Merrillville, Indiana. So let's jump right into the show, you guys. Remember those good old days of dual income, no kids, double-digit pay raises, and 2-for-1 stock splits? Well, these days, money's a lot harder to get a hold of and even harder to hang on to. That's why State Farm agent Paul Downing would like to introduce you to the Discount Double Check. He'll go through your car insurance policy line by line to make sure you're getting the discounts you deserve and aren't leaving any money on the table. It's fast, it's free, and when he's done finding you 10% here, 15% there, you could find yourself looking at discounts of up to 40%. That can mean savings worth hundreds of dollars, and that's a pretty good return for simply investing a few minutes of your time. So call State Farm agent Paul Downing today at 219-884-6947. That's 219-884-6947. Because being there to help keep more of your money in your pocket is why he's here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, y'all, so let's jump into this show today. I told you we're going to talk about several things today. What's the first thing I want to give you guys? Let me go ahead and give you this Equifax issue. So yet again, Equifax has come up with some more information, or we found out some additional information about what is going on with them. So you know that Equifax was breached, and whoever tried to hack them, or whoever did successfully hack them, gained 143 million people's information and detailed information that they can go and use to get things in your name. They can use some people, they have their full credit card number, so they can order things in your name. So all of those things happened when we found out about this breach initially. I predicted that number of 143 million people being impacted would rise. And I like to say that I was correct. So now they're saying that 145.5 million people's information has been compromised. So if you do not know if you were compromised or impacted, you should go to Equifax and see if you have been compromised. You can go to www.equifaxsecurity2017.com. That's 2017.com. So you can go there and see if you were impacted. Now, here's the issue that came up recently. So recently, Equifax, actually, that particular site that they were sending people to that I just told you about, when you went ahead and entered your information, someone was sending malicious, if you will, that's what they said, were sending malicious advertising to you after that. And so that was the issue, and they shut the site down for quite a while. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just quote you from CNN Money. So CNN.com, the money section, here's what they had to say a couple of days ago. Equifax has taken down a web page after a visitor reported being targeted with malicious advertising. Security analyst Randy Abrams first discovered the malicious pop-up message when he visited the Equifax website to confirm personal data. That's what he told CNN. So Equifax, they announced that massive security breach just last month. So that is additionally what was going on at this particular time. Also, right now, TransUnion may be having an issue as well. So it's very, very important that you protect yourself. Protect yourself. You're doing yourself a huge disservice if you do not go ahead and protect yourself by signing up for some kind of credit monitoring. Now, if you don't trust Equifax to monitor your credit correctly, because they're offering free credit monitoring for anybody, if you were impacted or not impacted, they're offering free credit monitoring, then I suggest you go out and you find some additional credit monitoring. I would check with my credit cards. So some of your credit cards, if you're a Chase member or maybe a Bank of America member or a Discover member, some of your credit cards have credit protection and on there and credit monitoring. So I would call and see if that's one of the benefits. And when you talk to them, make sure that the benefits aren't just for that particular card. So they may monitor that card, stringently, but maybe they don't monitor all of your credit. So I would ask them that. Also, I mentioned before that some companies actually offer some kind of fraud protection or credit monitoring as well. So you should definitely check with your HR to make sure that that's the case. All right. So make sure that you do that. All right. So look, let me jump into a couple of shout outs real quick. So, we got to do shout outs. I like to do the young people early in the show because I don't think they're going to sit through 30 minutes listening to this guy talk about credit. So I've got to give a huge happy belated birthday to Camille Werner. So Camille is a 5-year-old. She celebrated a birthday a couple of weeks ago. So happy birthday to you, Camille. She spells it with a K, like my daughter's name would have been. So happy birthday to you, Camille. So I have affinity for this young lady in my heart, and I call her Crazy Legs Camille. If you ever seen her dance, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. So happy 5th birthday to you, Camille. I got to give a big shout out to Cynthia Dice. Cynthia Dice celebrated a birthday earlier this week as well. So happy birthday to you, Cynthia. I gotta give a happy 50th birthday to Katrina Bradley. She celebrated a birthday as well. So happy birthday to you as well. All right, so let's jump into some other things. I hope you have all of that Equifax information down. So you got the Equifax information. Make sure that you protect yourself. Seriously, this is going to happen. Stories have started to come out of people that have had items ordered in their name, even supposedly shipped to their homes, and they've changed the routing. So whoever actually ordered this material was able to go ahead and get what they wanted. I've heard several horror stories about that. Even my wife was impacted in this way. Somebody went on and used her card to order some things as well. So make sure that you are protecting yourself as well. All right. So look, let's jump into some of the ways that your credit score is not impacted by. So what doesn't matter on your credit score? So we know, like, if you make your payments on time, that impacts your credit score. We know that if you have a lot of credit card debt, that will impact your credit score. Here are some things that don't matter at all. And I need to mention this because I've had a conversation and people were talking about a certain segment of our society that has bad credit scores. And I'm here to tell you that not necessarily the case. So here's some things that do not matter. They do not matter at all when it comes to your credit score. So your geography. It doesn't matter if you live in Columbus, Ohio, or if you live in Akron, Ohio, or if you live in LA, California. It does not matter at all where you live. That's not going to impact your credit score. Now, when you look at the geographics in the South, the southern part of the United States, their credit scores are a little lower. For whatever reason, their credit scores are a little lower. If you look way north, then credit scores are a little higher for whatever reason, but it has absolutely nothing to do with your geography and where you live. All right, so that's one thing that doesn't matter at all. I had a person asked me about addresses recently. Person had person had over 20 addresses listed on their credit report. They hadn't necessarily lived in all of those places. Some of the addresses were off a little bit. You know, they lived in an apartment and it might have said apartment B versus apartment B3, and then someone else put B3 on the other one. So they had a lot of addresses listed, over 20 addresses, and they wanted to know if that impacted their credit score. That does not impact your credit score. Now, that doesn't mean that if you go to a lender and say you're borderline, you might be approved, you might not be approved, or you're on the lower spectrum of being approved. That doesn't mean that they won't question that, because people that are not stable in where they live have a more risk of not paying. So you will say that I didn't get that particular statement, so you didn't pay, or they'll have a hard time finding you if they need to find you to make you pay on your account. So that's why that might be an issue for you. But as far as your credit score in itself, that does not impact that. Your race, when I was talking about a particular segment of society, thinks that their credit scores are lower just because of their race. That is not the case. So your race has nothing to do with your credit score either. So even in our society where there's a level playing field, not everywhere, in this particular stance, I would say that the credit scoring system is relatively independent of whatever your race is. Your gender does not make a difference at all. Your gender doesn't make, so that doesn't mean that men have a leg up on women, and it doesn't mean the other way around. However, women typically have higher credit scores than men. So men, I'm talking to you, we need to get it together so we can raise our credit scores as well. So your gender has absolutely nothing to do with your credit score. Your occupation has nothing to do with your credit score. So it doesn't matter if you're the garbage man, or if you're a janitor, or if you're a CEO. Your occupation has nothing to do with your credit score. Now, let me say this about occupation. So if you have a occupation where you get paid a lot of money, then maybe you can pay your bills better on time. You don't struggle as much. So maybe that helps you with your credit score. But it also does not mean, and I'm telling you this, that just because you make a lot of money does not mean that you have a good credit score. I have seen people that make minimum wage and they have better credit scores than people that are in the NBA. So there was an NBA player that back in the day when I used to grant loans wanted to basically seem like he wanted to finance his whole house with furniture. So this person went to a place that my company happened to finance the furniture. They put in the application. This particular NBA player, second-year player, a nice contract, I'm sure. So he made a lot of money, probably had enough money in his pocket to actually pay for all of this furniture he was trying to get. However, when I looked at his credit report, I have to say it was probably the worst credit report I've ever seen. I don't remember what his credit score is, and no, I'm never going to tell you what his name is. However, this person could not finance. I wouldn't finance a pack of gum for this guy. So he made a lot of money. He made a whole lot of money. But I have given out loans when I was doing that back in the day to people that worked at all kinds of minimum wage jobs because their credit score was good, and it definitely was better than this guy's credit score. So it doesn't matter how much money you make either if you're going to do that, if you're going to be financing and looking at your credit score. That does not matter at all. Warren Buffett, probably I don't know about the wealthiest man in the world, but definitely in the top tier of wealthiest men in the world, famously says that he has bad credit. And he is one of the wealthiest men in the world. And he says that he has bad credit. Now, for him, if you're Warren Buffett and you just call up somebody and say, hey, it's Warren Buffett and I'd like to get something, I'm sure they'll give it to him because of his name, because of his reputation, and they know that he owns a lot of things and he has billions and billions of dollars. So that's where we go from that. All right, so let's go ahead and do a couple more shout outs, and then we're going to jump into the question of the day as well. All right, so I gave Cynthia and Camille and Katrina their shout outs. I got to give a big shout out to my boy